Well guys, welcome back to the shop. I'm Chris with M7 Metalworks. I got another project in the shop today. This is a set of forks. So I've actually pulled the forks off, and this is just the, I don't know what you call it, the part that actually connects to the tractor. Now this is something that would be hard mounted to a tractor, and what my buddy would like to do is he would like to make this a quick attach. And so we're going to do that today. We're going to take this hard mount set of forks and we're going to make it a quick attach set of forks. So to do that, we've got to cut off these large tabs, which would connect to your loader, and then we've got a quick attach, which I'll show you right now. This is the quick attach plate. So basically that plate gets welded to that. So first things first, we've got to cut these off, and you can see the weld is just built up massively on this thing. So I've got my work cut out for me. It's not going to be a real quick, easy job. So most of this is going to be done off camera, but just know that right now I'm going to use a cutoff wheel and a plasma cutter. My plasma cutter is not rated to be able to cut some of this really thick stuff. So what I'll do is I'll cut into it with my cutoff wheel, and then I'll bridge that gap with the plasma cutter at that point. So I'll try to show you an example as we go along. Now that we've got the bracketry off here, I've got a ton of cleaning to do, obviously. So all of this has got to be ground down. I'm going to go through some serious grinding disc. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but it's pretty thick. I would say ½ inch in some places. Down here, probably near an inch. And that's coming off of it just about an inch, maybe 3/4 at minimum. So I've got to grind all of this so that when I put my plate against it, I'll have, it'll seat up against it nicely, and I'll be able to put some nice welds on there. So that's next. I'll get to grinding. I won't record but just a few seconds of that. Well, we've done a lot up to this point, guys, to get to here. So now what I've done is I've centered this up. So I've got it the same distance from the sides, of course, and then top to bottom, really my most important consideration here is that my pins go through here and don't drag the ground. And so that's the reason I've got this up a little bit. He wants those forks on the ground, and the forks will go, this direction, up. And I don't want those pins dragging the ground. So that's why I've got that up a little bit versus flush with the base of this. I probably have it 3 inches from the base. Yeah, I would say at least 3 inches. So, taking quite a bit of time to grind a lot of this stuff so that I can get nice welds. I've got a little bit of surface rust already taking place on some of my grinding marks just from a day. But we did have a rain last night, so you can kind of see what we got going on here. So let's get started and let's weld this thing. Well guys, we've got the conversion to a quick hitch completed. All the welds are done. Most guys like to see the welds. So that's several passes on each. I think it's exactly 6 on each weld. And that's just to build it up. So I don't know how well this comes up on camera, but it's kind of a deep, this tube curves in, so the initial rod goes in there and fills that little void, and then you put a pass on the left, a pass on the right, pass down the middle, pass on the left, pass on the right, pass down, basically to build all of this up. So I'm not sure how well that shows up on camera, but really pretty nice welds. There's a few BBs here and there, but we'll knock those off. This is from the previous welds when it had the hard mount on it. So I don't know that I'll be grinding much more of that off. I've put a weld on top in the center. I also had to do a relief cut here. Actually had a weld sticking out there far higher than I expected, and so what it had done is it had made this middle section to kind of bow out, and I don't think it would have affected it any, but it was probably out 3/4 of an inch, so it bowed out 3/4 of an inch, and so I really didn't like that. And so what I did is I took my plasma cutter and just cut where I could look down there and see where it was touching, making contact. I couldn't take these up anymore because I'd already welded. Everything else was welded, so I couldn't just pull this off and regrind that. So I had to do a relief cut. So took the plasma cutter, cut a square out where the high section was, and then just welded that back on. And then also on the inside, I'll show you, I also put welds in there and in there. Now I used the MIG on this, and I didn't get overly concerned about looks because all that's going to get a little bit of paint anyway, so not a big deal. So anyways, I also got welds down at the base. I got welds down here on the underside. When this is flat, you can see weld there, there, all on the back side. Of course, I've got welds here. I think that's 3 passes on, and this is with MIG. Most of this was with stick. And the reason I use stick is I get a little bit better penetration with stick. I started with 60-13 and made the root pass with that, and then covered with 70-18s, 5/32 rod, and did a really good job. I think I was around 175, 180 amps. I can't remember. Let me just look on the arc welder here. What do we got there? Okay, so I'm about 175. So if you can see right there, I'm right in between. It's a beautiful old Lincoln Tombstone. Love that welder. So now what I'm going to do, guys, is I'll put a little bit of primer on this and shoot a little bit of black paint on it. I'm not going to get carried away. I've already got so many hours into this. Stick around and I'll show you the finished product with a little bit of paint. This looks, I think, worse right now with it not having any paint over it. I think once we throw a little paint on that, that shouldn't affect it at all, and I don't think it'll look bad at all once we get a little bit of paint in there. So. Well, guys, I've got her painted up now. So nothing special, just use a Rust-Oleum Professional and gloss black, and I'm really actually pretty pleased with it. The coverage is extremely good. Turned out really good. I'm really pleased with it. It's nothing, you know, car show worthy, obviously, but it's a set of forks after all. But should give him lots of years of use. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this build. Just kind of walk you around the forks here. Threw a little bit of paint on those forks as well, just to kind of, it's all, really the whole paint job is all about just protecting it from rust. I get on this side so we don't have the sun washing us out here. So yeah, the entire thing is all about getting it rust, preventing that rust. So there you see it. She locked in beautifully. See where the pins go in right there. And no problems at all hooking it up. It literally attached just like all of my quick hitch stuff. This is not mine. This is a buddy of mine's. Clint is going to enjoy this set of forks. They are ridiculously heavy duty. I don't know what their rating is, but the tubing itself is 1/2 inch thick. And I can tell you, moving this thing around the shop, even with that cherry picker, was a major pain. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, comment if you'd like to, and God willing, I'll see you on the next video.